Our first guest is an Emmy Award winning multimedia journalist, showrunner, travel vlogger, and actor. She's a champion for uplifting voices of color, education, and global exploration. She is the creator and host of the Emmy nominated shows Latinas on CUNY TV, a monthly magazine show showcasing Latina women from all walks of life, and Globe Scholars on PBS stations that follow students as they study, volunteer, or intern abroad. Also, her travel blog that documents her own destinations. Everyone, please welcome Emmy Award winner, the multi-hyphenated Tinabeth Piña. Hello.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to have you here.
It's great to be here. I'm excited.
I can't believe it's taken so long to have you on. I mean, we're kind of in the same line of business.
Yep.
However, just watching you being able to sustain and expand on top of that, and congratulations on your Emmy too.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So how's it feel being on the other side today?
It feels awesome. It's nice. I didn't have to prepare. I'm just here to talk. And I don't have to research anything because I know what I'm talking about. So it's good.
Well, I hope you know what you're talking about when it comes to yourself.
Hope so too.
So, let's just give everybody a little background on what I guess inspired you to even begin the Latina show, because I know that's your creation as well.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I wrote a thesis about the underrepresentation and misrepresentation of Latinos on mainstream television and film. And as you know, and as many people know, there's just a dearth of us. There's really no representation whatsoever. Hasn't been since the beginning of television and film. Yeah, there's spatterings of us here and there. So as I did my research for that thesis, I became very aware of what was going on in Hollywood, and I wasn't happy with it. And interestingly enough, I met with a lot of people, one who happens to be here today, Carmen Rivera, and we started thinking about different ways to have more representation in film, have more representation on television. And so the idea never escaped me, and I was meeting different people, but for whatever reasons, the shows just weren't happening. And then finally, years later, I get to CUNY TV, and they give me the opportunity to create any kind of show I want. And I was like, well, now's the time to do it. Right. And that's why I decided to go with Latinas. In particular, I figured I'd reach the women versus doing all of the Latin culture. I figured I'd start with the ladies first, because behind every great person is a woman.
Right.
And I figured I'd go in that direction.
And not only that, women are the ones who move mountains.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
So how long has Latinas been on the air now?
Right now we're in our 4th season.
That's amazing.
Which is amazing. And last year was the first time we got nominated for an Emmy Award. So we didn't win, but we were nominated. So poco a poco, I was very excited about that, very proud of that. And I know and have known that there is an audience for this type of television. And that proved to me that people are watching, people are interested, and people are hungry for that type of programming.
Right, it's about representation, and we need to see ourselves.
Exactly.
And you're doing a great job. I mean, especially with the different topics of discussion, right? So even though it's on CUNY TV, it's not solely geared towards scholars, although you have the scholar show as well.
Yes.
Right, and the travel, which is from the Latinos perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because I know you just participated, or you were part of this festival, the Latino...
Yes, the Latino Travel Fest.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to take part in. They're the only festival that I'm aware of that's geared towards Latino travelers. Again, another genre where Latinos are not represented. And I think it's very important for us, especially the younger versions of us, to see each other in these spaces, to see, si se puede. You see yourself as a traveler, you see yourself on television, you see yourself as a doctor, as a lawyer, whatever the case may be. The world is your oyster to be whatever. And if you see somebody like yourself doing whatever it is, that's going to inspire you to do it as well.
Right. And so when you're curating both shows, or actually it's 3, right? We've got Latinas. I know I'm keeping track of you, girl.
Well, I'm being like you. I'm being like you.
It's great. It's really, really great. I'm excited for you. I'm excited even watching it, as it unfolds, and your travels too, and also the things, I guess, the details that you're paying attention to, right? And I'm bringing that up because one of the things that I guess intrigues me is knowing that you're Latina, and knowing that, is that something that I would really pay attention to? I mean, it's not to come across as like we have this exclusivity in the way we perceive things, but there is something that comes with our culture in the perception of experiences.
Yeah, perception is everything. Perception is everything. I do the shows because I just happen to be Latina, but it is for everyone. It's not for a particular demographic. Let's just say Latinas in particular. You know, a daughter can watch it with her mother and her grandmother, and they're all going to come away with something on that show that they're interested in, because they're all going to perceive it differently.
Right.
The title of the show might turn people off, but they're like, it may not be for me. But if they give it a chance and they watch it, then they'll be like, oh, you know what? I actually enjoyed that. I learned something, because it's relatable to everyone.
Right.
It's not just exclusive.
Right. For women especially too, right? It's almost like familiarize yourself, right? If you're non, right?
Exactly.
And you know what? I think we've been doing that for very many years. For everyone else.
Yeah. And what's nice too, it's like you're on the air, I'm on the air. There's space for everybody. There's space for lots of stories. And it's just a matter of people allowing us to tell those stories. And you know what? If no one's going to allow us to tell the stories, then we'll just tell them anyway in our own way. It's so much easier now to have access to cameras to tell these stories. If you can't do it on a TV show, you can do it online, you can do it on a blog, you can do it on social media, in any way possible. And telling stories, I think, brings people together. And it's, again, it all comes back to perception and what you see and what you take from what you're seeing.
Yeah, and so I know we're focused primarily on Latinas, but I do want to talk about the Globe Scholars, because that's a very, very interesting concept. Oh my gosh, Tinabeth, I'm telling you, I'm like in all over like the concepts that you're coming up with, because aside from being the host and producing, you're actually the creator, and I think it's important that we recognize that.
Thank you.
Because it takes something to create and execute. And be on the backside, which is the part that people don't really know, is the hardest part.
It's a lot of work.
I know, I know.
It's a lot of work, but that shows a labor of love for me. It's something that I do as a side hustle. I don't get paid to do it. It's something that I just really wanted to do. Back when I was in school, I didn't study abroad, not because I didn't know about it, not because I couldn't. I just didn't think to do it because I ran track at the time. So I was like, oh, if I go abroad, then I'm not going to be in shape for the season, blah, 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 blah. So I never went. And I always kind of regretted not going, because my one sister did study abroad in Brazil. And then I've always noticed when meeting young people that they don't think travel's for them. And it goes back to they're not seeing themselves in those travel spaces. So working at CUNY, I was kind of like, you know what? I'm in a college atmosphere. Let me put a show out there about study abroad, and let me focus on students of color. So other students who are watching at home in any way, shape, or form, if they're streaming, if they're watching on TV, they're watching on their phone, they're going to see students like them and relate to them. And so we were able in the first episode to go to Cuba. In the next 3 episodes, we went to South Korea. And right now we're going to be going to Spain. So I'm following different students on their travels and documenting them and learning about said city or said country through their eyes, which I think is very important.
Yeah, once again, going back to the experience through perception, right? And so you said you're not getting paid for this. That's a costly production. So how are you cutting costs?
I'm smart.
Well, I'm saying, to travel internationally.
Well, you don't need a lot of money to travel. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They see the sticker shock when they go on Kayak, Expedia, whatever. But if you're flexible in your travel plans and you leave on one day versus the other day, that can save you $500.
Right.
So it's about being smart in how you travel, and then moving forward with that. Right now, I'm doing it as a labor of love. Everything's coming out of my pocket. It won't be that way forever, because I have to figure out a way to make money from doing it.
Right.
But it's so important to me to do it. I don't care that I'm spending money doing it, because I know that money will come back to me later in some way, shape, or form, because I know I'm doing the right thing by showcasing these students and their experiences.
I think it's a beautiful concept. And just out of curiosity, you just made reference to knowing when to buy these tickets. Is that something that's also offered in the experience of the show, of understanding the dynamics? Because I do know what you're talking about. Like sometimes you have to spend a weekend, or you have to stay over a Saturday, and or you travel on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it cut costs.
Yeah. Not on that show. I do that with my travel vlog. So my travel vlog's like useful travel tips, how to, travel, what do they say? Champagne beer budget but champagne tastes. Like I do that kind of thing
Right.
with my vlogging. But for the show, no, the show's literally it's a travel documentary show through the eyes of students. So that's where that is. But through that blog, I try to inform people and give them tips about, you know, buy a ticket on a Tuesday night because it's cheaper that way, or stay through Sunday. Don't leave on Friday because you're going to cut your ticket down. Like the other day, my brother-in-law bought a ticket to Denver for, I don't know, $411. And I'm going to buy a ticket for my husband for the same trip, but he's staying till Sunday. The ticket's $228. $411, $228.
Yeah.
$411, $228.
2 tickets versus 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
a lot of people just don't realize that, and then they take themselves out of that travel realm, and they shouldn't.
You know, you really, I'm in awe over everything, and just in what you're sharing and in this brief time that we have together. But I do want our audience to have more access to you. So where would they go to either follow your blog or do you have like a membership? Like how is this all working? Because you've got the travel vlogging, then you've got the global scholars, which I don't know how you pick your students as well, right? And then there's, of course, Latinas.
So all my social media is at Tinabeth Piña. Latinas does have its own website at tv.cuny.edu/Latinas. Globe Scholars, globescholarstv.com, and then my blog, tinabethtravels.com.
Well, I'm going to try and remember all of
It's
that.
a lot. It's a lot.
But you know, I'm going to say you're living your best life.
I'm trying.
Well, here's the thing. You're amplifying our voices, number one. I want to acknowledge you, right?
Thank you.
And on top of that, you're living out your dream, which is the dream of travel, because I think we all want to travel, right? And you're documenting it in the process so that you can make it easier for other individuals to book themselves and explore life, right? Or explore different cultures. And then, of course, you're leaving things better by making sure the next generation is documented. High
Thank you.
five,
I
Tinabeth.
appreciate it.
Woo! All right, you guys, that's Tinabeth Piña, Emmy Award Winning multimedia journalist, showrunner, travel blogger, and actor. And once again, for more information on all of her endeavors, follow her social media at Tinabeth Piña. All right, stay tuned. More open when we return.